Good evening, everyone. I'm Jessie. I'm with our DJ Rocks. We are an all-female DJ team. We rock sparkly shoes, and we are the sister company of Photo Booth Rocks, which means we provide DJ photo booths and lighting to weddings across Central Florida. Thank you to Florida Wedding Expo for allowing us to jump on here and take over tonight to connect with couples. Tonight, we are here to talk about wedding playlist planning and how to make one that rocks. So we're going to talk about what moments do you need to pick songs for, how detailed should you get with your must playlist and do not playlist, where can you find music, inspiration, and how we can make that playlist personal to you guys as a couple. Tonight, I have our owner and DJ Kristen and our sales manager, DJ Jenny.
Hey,
what's up?
All right, ladies. So I'm going to start with the easy stuff. We obviously have to pick a song for all the important moments. So Jenny, can you tell us what are some of those key moments that all couples, usually, if they're doing some of these traditions, will have to pick a song for?
Awesome. Let's start with the ceremony. Ceremonies first. Obviously, all of the songs, there's so many places where you can find songs on our Spotify, find inspiration on, our blog and that kind of stuff. But today we're going to kind of give you an idea of like what to think about. So ceremony first, you're going to think about your processional, your recessional. If you're doing a candle lighting or a sand ceremony, those kind of special things that happen during the ceremony, sometimes your officiant is going to talk through those things. So you really don't need a song. Or sometimes it's going to take you guys, a minute to put a puzzle together. That's what we did. We did a family puzzle. So it's going to take some time to do that. So, if you need a little bit more time picking a song for that like special ceremony thing that's happening, and then your recessional when you walk back down the aisle. So processional, a couple things. You can do like just your bridal party and then a song just for you. Just for the bride or groom. And then for some people, choose to do a processional song for the bridal party for the girls, and then a bridal party for the guys, and then one for the bride. So really you have a couple options, but just think about what songs you want when you're walking down the aisle.
So on average, about how many songs are you picking for the ceremony?
So I would say like 3 to 4.
Okay.
If you do decide to do one for the family, one for the bridal party, one for you, plus you're doing a candle, plus you're doing a recessional, then you're at 5, so
you're a whole production at that point.
Yeah. If some people keep it real simple, just one for the bridal party, one for the bride, and one for after you kiss and say, I do.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else? What about, what reception, big moments do they need to pick songs for?
Yeah, so those big moment songs after the ceremony's over, your next one is when you're introduced into the room. First time as the newlyweds. So that's your introduction song. So you got to pick one of those. And then you're going to probably go right into your first dance. So hopefully you have one picked out already. And then after the first dance, some people go right into their parent dances. Any father-daughter dance, mother-son dance, those kind of things. And then after dinner time, then we'll cut a cake. So you need a cake cutting song. Most people don't even realize they need a cake cutting song. So a song for the cake. Any special dedications that you have going on throughout the night, like if it's, a grandparent passed away and you want to play their wedding song, but you really don't want to have, grandma get on the dance floor and dance, and grandpa passed away. You don't want her to feel sad during that song on the dance floor. Some people do that during dinner time, and you can just do like a nice dedication for grandpa or grandma or whatever it is, even a parent during dinner.
Awesome.
What else? We got parent dances. Where are we next? After we cut the cake, any special traditions that you're doing, bouquet toss, garter removal. And then, finally, the last dance of the night. Yeah. You need a big, fun last dance with everyone. Sometimes people like to do a slow dance at the end. It's my favorite when our couples pick a slow dance. That, after they do their fun party last dance with everyone, they get to go outside, line up in 2 lines and send them off with a big, sparkler exit or bubble exit or something. So it's nice to take that time to kind of just be the 2 of you. Private last dance, if you haven't heard about it yet, it's a really special moment. And that way you guys can kind of take it all in. The night is over and you have your private last dance alone. So there's another one to think about.
I love that.
Yeah, I was going to add just a couple more, if I may.
Yeah.
We've had a couple times where you maybe, let's say you want to do a special dance and it's not with your parents. Maybe you have someone else that's important in your life, maybe a brother or even like a step parent. Those are always really nice to kind of honor those moments. And then I think too, just going back to the ceremony, you may have where it's you pick 3 to 4 songs where it's recessional and then you're walk down the aisle and then kiss and say I do and walk back up. But we've also had some non-traditional ones where maybe you've got 2 walks down the aisle. Let's say if there's a same-sex wedding where there's 2 special moments, or sometimes it's just 1 song and then 2 different aisles. So I think it really just depends on customizing it for that couple based on what they have going on. You know what I mean? And we can always help guide you.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say is this is a very almost long list of things, of songs that you have to think about. And I know music is really important to me when it came down to it, to planning my wedding. I was very strategic to pick songs that either, were important to me and my husband or important to my family and I. But that's a pretty long list of moments to pick. Can you give us a hint of where they can find some resources? Obviously, your DJ can help you pick those, but where can they find some lists of inspo? Kristen?
I mean, go, Kristen.
Jenny, you first.
So I would say definitely on our Spotify and on our blog, we have great resources for you to, pick those songs. Where else? Spotify and blog, I think, is the most. Kristen, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I would say if anything, it all starts, at least for us, Instagram, where we're always going to give you resources there. And then we try to put them as many places as we possibly can. So if you are a couple of ours and, you've already booked us as your DJ, we have wedding inspiration in your online portal right next to where you would submit your song. So there are some inspiration there. We've got our Spotify, which is at our DJ Rocks. We try to put as much information and music as we can there. And then we also have a gajillion places on our blog where we have one main list that has just a ton of stuff. And then we try to publish blogs with, hundreds of songs in there with Spotify. We pin all of that to Pinterest. And I think everywhere covers it. Those are your main places.
Yeah. And I mean, definitely talk to if you're trying to pick a father-daughter dance, definitely talk to your parents, talk to your family, ask them what songs played at their wedding. There's inspiration everywhere. Music is so important that it's fun to make it personal. We try and provide as many resources as we can. But of course, there's going to be some song that's not on any list that's going to be really important to you guys.
Yeah. And also make it your own, it's your wedding. So, I danced with my kids at my wedding. If you have a son or daughter that you want to dance with, then, do it. There's no one that says you have to dance with your dad or you have to dance, your spouse has to dance with their mom or you have to have a cake cutting song, It's your wedding and do it the way you want to do it. And we have plenty of resources for you to find songs for whatever occasion.
Yeah. Some people don't even have a cake or some people don't even want to make that a big moment because they're a little bit more private and they don't want to be forefront. So
yeah. Ray says using app tools like Shazam to store songs so you can remember them when you're working on your planning sheets, which is great. I know when I was planning my wedding, I would hear a song and instantly I was like, this happened with my first dance. We heard a song and we were like, I have to go into our online planning system right now and change my first dance. I have to go plug it in right this minute so that I don't forget. Yeah, so that's a good idea. Definitely make your own Spotify list and then plug it all into the online planning system when you're solidified all your choices. Yes. Okay, so Kristen, tell me about what other kind of playlist do the couples need to be thinking about? Besides those special moments, do they need to be thinking about cocktail hour music, dinner time music, even pre-ceremony? Do they need to come up with an hour's worth of music? What are some tips and tricks to give them a guide when it comes to thinking about those things?
That's a really great, really great question. And I feel like, the easy answer to that, and I always want to encourage people and let them know that you can be as hands-on or as hands-off in this process as you want to be. So of course, Jesse, Jenny, and I today are going to give you tons of tips and where to go. But I have couples all the time that are like, I trust you, go. And I'm cool. I can ask the right questions and I can curate all of this. And then we have the complete opposite end of the spectrum where there are couples who are like, we literally have like this gigantic list and we're obsessed with music and we really want to be a part of it. And for those couples, this is where these tips and tricks are going to help. As far as pre-ceremony music goes, we can totally pick that vibe. And the way we kind of look at things as it's almost like a process, right? Like when people start to arrive, you've got like that nice, like kind of background music going for ceremony. And maybe that's, string versions of songs. We love a group called Vitamin String Quartet. So we use them a lot for our pre-ceremonies. When it comes to, progressive, that's what I was going to say. And then you progress to, you guys have said I do, and it's yes. And now people can kind of relax a little bit and have a beverage and start conversations. And that's where you've got your cocktail hour. And, that can be anything from, Frank Sinatra to Michael Bublé, Jack Johnson. I've had couples who are like, I don't want any of that. Can you do more like upbeat kind of like 90s like theme songs that like we would just remember, right? Ones we wouldn't dance to. And so this is where you can get a little bit creative because we can kind of customize that. And then of course you have dinner. So when couples come to us and say, I mean, our tastes are all over the place and I have songs that I can't dance to, that's great. Because guess what? We're typically there for, 6 hours if we're doing your ceremony, cocktail hour, and reception. So we can definitely do that. One time we had a couple, they were so cute. I remember them. They were getting married at Mission Inn. And during cocktail hour, they wanted all movie themed songs, but not like movie scores, right? Like, for example, Toy Story had that one song. I told Jesse I can't.
You've got a friend in me?
Yes, that's it. Sorry.
Her theme song?
Yes. But anyways, they wanted to pull songs from movies for that. And so that was really unique. And so it really can be about you. You don't have to choose every single song. That's why you hire us. We don't want that to be a stressor. But if that is something that brings you joy, then by all means, give us vibes, tell us what you're thinking, and we can customize that around your personality as a couple.
Yeah, I think the important part, with everything we try and do when your guests are even during cocktail hour, they're just mingling, snacking, just starting to take a few sips, but they're hearing stuff and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so them.
Yeah.
Jenny, tell them about the couple you had that customized their cocktail hour with concerts they've been to.
Yes, they were like really like hardcore concert goers. So they were like, we want to incorporate all these bands that we've seen, but like you can't dance to this. And I was like, oh my gosh, cocktail hour, and they actually, what they did is they made a big sign that said like all the songs that you're hearing during cocktail hour are bands that we've seen in concert live, so I was like, cool. This is so cool. And everyone kept coming up to me and they're like, oh, we love this playlist. And I'm like, that was them. But like, it was great. It was really a great playlist. And it was all stuff that like they said, they knew you wouldn't be able to dance to it. It was a little too much for dinner, but like fun for cocktail hour, so they did that during cocktail hour. It was really nice.
That's very cool.
And
I love that idea.
I was still able to incorporate little things of their bands in dinner and like even a slow song during dancing. And they were like, oh yes. I had no idea.
I love that. Kristen, tell us a little bit more about some other playlists that maybe they'll have to make, like their must play or their do not play or their mixed these if you can.
Yep. So when you start to kind of get in the zone of choosing music for your wedding, you can really, you could create hours of playlists. I know I get lost in music a lot too. And I think the ones that are important to remember as far as giving your DJ request would be things like, what do you have to dance to? Meaning like, it's the day after and your feet are sore and it's like, what are those songs that like you broke it down to? And keep in mind that the dancing portion of the wedding is really an hour, 2 hours, right? We already have theme music going on in the background, right? So you want to make sure that list isn't too long because you want your DJ to be able to have wiggle room where if songs aren't working, we can switch it up. So I would say keep your must dance to list at maybe 20 songs max. I know you guys are going to hate me. Comment if you like. That's fine. But this is our guideline. You are trusting us to create the vibe and pack the dance floor. So the next kind of list I would say is mix these in if you can. And this is the extension of your must dance to list. And when I say must dance to and mix these in if you can, these are your songs that are only during your dance floor time. This isn't, the slow song that you kind of want to hear during dinner. Those can be a separate list. I'm even thinking along the lines of, let's say you're doing a dress change or you need to bustle up. I want to make sure that I'm not playing these must dance songs during that time that I know you've kind of stepped away from the room a little bit. And then other ones are, let's say you want to submit a playlist of play only if requested. So like, let's say Aunt Susie is like, you have to play Baby Got Back. And you're like, if I hear this song at one more of our family's wedding, I'm like, whatever, right? So you can kind of give your DJ a little bit of a forewarning, like you're probably going to get requested it. Please don't play it unless Aunt Susie is like, yes. So you can kind of use that list for that. And then of course there's the do not play. So this is the like, I'm going to shoot you if you play this song. It could be for multiple reasons. We don't need to know the reasons. Sometimes we get requests of like, do not play, electric slide, cha-cha slide. And sometimes it's so obscure. You're like, well, I wasn't going to play that anyway, but okay, that's fine.
Me.
Yes.
My do not playlist.
Jesse's do not playlist was do not play Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'm like, I wasn't going to anyways, but that's fine.
It's a good thing it was on there though, because one of my friends requested it knowing that I didn't like it just to mess with me as a joke. And I gave Kristen full permission to shut her down.
Yeah, I was like, you're not getting me in trouble and this is not your wedding, boo. So,
and I was like, oh my goodness. So that's a lot of lists. I mean, for you guys to juggle between what you can play, what you can't play, what you need to play, what you need to play if possible. And of course, I mean, even those play if possibles, I'm guessing that if their must playlist isn't a mile long, you're probably going to try and play all those play if possibles, at least at some point throughout the night, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know at least for mine, the play if possibles, I threw on like those slow dance songs that I was like, I know I don't want to kill the vibe, but I really do love these slow dance songs. So we'll talk about slow dances later, but I feel like for mine, at least they were thrown into dinner where I could still hear them, but it didn't ruin the dance floor. So speaking of offbeat music interests, we kind of mentioned that earlier, but Jenny, talk to me about if you have a couple that really isn't into like top 40, doesn't listen to the radio, is like, I don't even know what's cool today. Obviously there's a lot of the top 40 stuff are really crowd pleasers right now. So how do you manage throwing a few of them in to please the crowd, but also not playing stuff that the couple won't know or enjoy?
Right. So, I mean, it's going to depend on genres too. So people say top 40, but there's top 40 like radio, and then there's top 40 like radio right now, and there's top 40 from the 80s, top 40 from the 90s, top 40 from the 2000s, so sometimes people are like, oh, I don't listen to the radio, I don't like top 40. And then when I start saying songs, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I do like that one. I'm like, okay, I want to dance with somebody, it's top 40. But they don't realize that when if they say, oh, I don't want anything new that's top 40, that I might cut a whole kind of genre, So yeah. I talk to my couples about, what kind of music they like. So, like someone will say, oh yeah, I'm cool with Uptown Funk. So I'll say, okay, you like Bruno Mars, you probably like Justin Timberlake too, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, I like Justin, so I kind of ask them questions to kind of find out, where I can go. As far as like crowd pleasers, obviously we have tons of like lists for on our end, and in our brain that we know is going to get people on the dance floor. So if there's songs that people are like, oh, I don't know, I don't really like that one, or whatever, I just ask a lot of questions. So you guys can make a better decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then come night of, do you kind of sprinkle them in throughout like their taste? So that way it like lasts you the whole night?
Yes. So like, let's say they're like, I really don't like Beyonce, right? But I really like, oh man, I don't even know how to answer that question. I don't really know how to answer.
I'm just thinking of my wedding and I knew this going into it, that I did have weird taste, where I'm into like pop punk, Blink 182. And in my head, that's not wedding music. So when I'm talking to Kristen, I was like, I know my stuff isn't what's going to fill the dance floor. So like, do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. But there were still times where she threw in some of that stuff, where she would sprinkle in a little bit of my stuff that everyone was like, all right, Hillary Duff is playing because of Jesse and Alex. Like,
yes, absolutely. We can always sprinkle it in. And then of course, sometimes I know Kristen surprised you on your wedding with, with a little fun song at the end. But like, it's really just about reading the crowd and making sure that we're playing songs that are going to keep people on the dance floor. And then we really just want to make sure that we do your top songs. So like your top 10 songs, your top 20 songs, whatever that is, we'll make sure we fit it in there. Don't worry.
Yeah. And this next question kind of relates to that, which I'm going to toss over to Kristen. I mean, it's important to remember the audience, right? So how can our couples, or how does the DJ help our couples kind of blend either two different music styles, or maybe he loves country and she loves rock and roll, or two different cultures entirely, where one likes Latin music and the other one is a full-blown country music lover? Like, how do you blend two different styles and while still keeping the guests in mind? How do you balance that, Kristen?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, what we just talked about, and then also this, and it really is about reading the vibes. Like, I think it's just the most adorable thing ever when, let's say we're at a Florida wedding expo, or we're on the phone with a couple and they say that, or they're the Jesse bride that's like, well, I really have to hear this Hillary Duff or Blink 182. But keep in mind, this is literally every single wedding. It's for us. It's not outside of the normal. It actually is the normal for us to have to fuse. And think about it, guys. Like, I cannot wait for the day that I can have 100 to 200 people in a room again, and you're fusing two different families and two different people together. And that's what we love, right? We're creating those celebrations out of all of that. And so it's about knowing the right moment and the right time to play these songs. Some different stories is like, sometimes I'll go into it and, I really have no idea. I have some ideas and I've got my playlist of all the songs that I know that work. I come prepared of like my must plays, my do not plays. I kind of know the different roads I'm going down. And then I just got to feel the vibe. There are some times where, let's say if I'm doing a wedding where it's, half country, half rock and roll, or half Latin, half American, some crowds react differently. And sometimes I got to do 3 Latins in a row and then 3 Americans. And then I got to go to 80s and then I got to go to 90s and then I'm back to the Latin. And sometimes it's like, they are so, I don't want to say impatient, but it's like, if I don't play every other song that's Latin, whether that's bachata, merengue, salsa, or reggaeton, they're behind my DJ booth being like, can you play the Latin again? Or like, when's another country song coming? So like, I don't have a choice but to just go back and forth because, think about it. If it's not your style of music, but every other song is your style of music, you're not going to leave the dance floor. So it really just depends on the vibe and what everybody's feeling. It depends on what formalities are coming. Let's say you have a dress change and you're leaving the room. Guess what? The stuff that I know that your friends and family will love, I'm going to go ahead and play that because you've left. And then as soon as you come back in, I got your jams going. And so when you're DJing, it's a constant, every 30 seconds, you're like going like this and mixing that. And like, your brain doesn't stop. It's exciting. And it usually takes me about 2 hours to calm down after a wedding because I'm constantly like going like that. But those are the things that create the moments and the experiences and the things that people are going to remember.
Man, I'm worked up right now just hearing that. It's impressive because I'm not a DJ, and the way your guys' brain works with your music knowledge of how much music you know and retain. So I hear you guys doing this in your final meetings where like, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record because this is the only experience I have getting married or being on the other end of it. But at my wedding, I would say that I like Green Day, and she would know like a Green Day adjacent artist that would, Green Day is maybe a little too obscure, but Blink-182, everyone can throw down to all the small things. So, but knowing that I liked one band, she could divert it a little bit to be something that's still my taste and my style that would guarantee a full dance floor. So stuff like that, where even though you have different tastes,
we're literally like Shazam, Spotify, Pandora, all in one with a little bit of Ryan Seacrest because we got to run this.
You may also like.
Yeah, you may also like.
Oh man, we should play that game, like a fire round of like quiz of like make you rattle off if somebody says one band, like what?
Oh,
that would be a good test.
That's for another live stream.
That's another live stream. Okay, so we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but slow songs, they kind of have a time and place. We talked about using them for dinner, for a cocktail hour. I also wanted to pop up here that DJ Emily says the play of possibles are, if they are fun and upbeat, and they aren't played during reception, she throws them in quietly after the last dance, which is pretty cool, just to kind of hear them as a little bit of background noise, even while you're like cleaning up the centerpieces is kind of special. So talk to me about slow songs. How many is too many? Like, what's a good like rule of thumb if you get the feeling that your crowd might like slow songs, or if you're a fan of slow songs and you want them to be included in dance floor time? Jenny, give us kind of a rule of thumb for that.
I would say, I think in the online planning system, they let you choose about 5, but I would say 1 to 2 tops. If you're doing an anniversary dance, maybe you could play like a third one. Slow songs, I feel like they're great. They get the older crowd on the dance floor. They're really good for like, you're up here at this like fun, fast-paced dance for a while, and you just need to like calm it down for just a second, let everyone breathe and get a drink of water. It's good to throw one of those in. But you really don't want to have too many, because then it gets a little down, so you want to keep it fun and upbeat all night, but give everyone that little break. So I usually will tell my couples like, hey, 1 or 2, pick like your favorite 2 that you would love to hear. If I can get in more, I'll get in more if you want slow songs. Sometimes I have couples that are like, I don't want any. Mm-hmm. I do not even want one. And I'm like, all right, let's go. You don't need any. Your slow songs are your first dance and your parent dances and, those kind of things. So it really just depends on the couple. But I mean, I think that like if you do your anniversary dance, right, you have all the older couples get on the dance floor, you finish up with the oldest married couple, that's already, 5 minutes out of your night, out of your dance floor, Yeah. So if you think about it and you only have a 2-hour dance floor, like I say only play 1 or 2, but everyone's different. So sometimes we do have couples that want a couple more. How about you, Kristen?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot more lately. It's funny because it used to be where it was, you could sprinkle in like one slow song and then open dancing, and then 30 minutes later or an hour later, another slow song and then open dancing. And then it kind of goes like that. And now it's where, the night is kind of programmed with the timeline where I straight up ask my couples, tell me what you're thinking. Are you thinking you want to chunk your kind of formalities together and then like rip open the dance floor and like it doesn't stop all night long?
I asked the same thing.
Rip it. Like by the time dinner's over, I am answering. So if you say let her rip, Tater Chip, I'm going. But like if it's like you kind of want to do like a little bit of formalities, open dance floor, maybe like bouquet and garter, and then open it back up. We can kind of split those things up. So it really depends on the couple, I would say. We can program it based on what they're wanting the vibes are. Sometimes, Jenny, and I don't know, Jesse, if you've experienced this yet, but sometimes we have couples that come to us and they're like, I'm not a dancer. He's not a dancer. I know I have to have music. I don't want to be forced to have, I could care less if there's a dance floor. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that is okay too, because music still brings the vibe and you don't have to dance, you know?
Yeah.
There are some venues that are some of my favorite in Orlando that don't lend itself to dancing, but you can still have a great time having great conversations with really great music. Like don't let the fact that you're not a dancer dissuade you from you still have to have great music. It's funny because some of the girls, we all meet up at the warehouse afterwards when we're done DJing, and we're all excited. We're talking about our weddings, and they're like, "Dude, no one danced." And then the next day they send an email like, "That was the greatest time ever," and I'm like, they didn't dance, but guess what? They still listen to the music. It was still their favorite songs,
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
love
I
that.
just think it depends. I don't think there's one cookie cutter way. I think it's all about just having a conversation and, us understanding, what their vision is, and then kind of
Mhm.
helping them, format that through a timeline and then bring it to life with the music.
Yeah. So I have one last hot tip, and we have a question from the audience, which is going to perfectly lead me into it. So
Oh,
Diane says, "Hi, I'm dreading my playlist. I love a variety of
oh.
songs, but want to make sure everyone is having fun is really important to her." So the last tip that I had written on here is trust your DJ. And I'll hand it over to you guys, but I think that's really common. A lot of people feel the pressure, right? Of
Mhm.
I have to create a playlist, and I just want everybody to be having a good time, and I really want my dance floor to be full. So, Kristen, ease our minds. Tell us how trusting our DJ can help us ease that playlist dread.
Well, first of all, Diane, you don't have anything to worry about because that is what you hire a professional for. I can speak on behalf of all the RDJ Rocks DJs. You don't have to dread this process. And I'll just start from where I started at the beginning. You can be as hands-on or as hands-off as you want to be. I would say, again, what Jesse said, trust your DJ. And in order to do that, I would say creep everything. Go online, read their reviews, go on their Instagram. You can feel vibes through the videos that they post, through their YouTube videos. What kind of vibes does their website give you? How do you feel when you read the words that they're posting, if it's just a post? And then have a conversation. It starts with having the first conversation. Sometimes it blows my mind that people don't want to set up a time to chat with us on Zoom or on the phone because your DJ is vibes. How do you get vibes through email? You can't get that with black and white, words through a piece of paper. So I would say have a meeting with your DJ and, with multiple DJs. And then once it comes down to the actual, when you've hired a DJ and when you're in this wedding music planning process, and you've got to trust them. And as long as you can say, I want, let's say cocktail hour. Either you give full trust or give a little bit of direction. Say, I want something that's not so old school, or maybe I'm wanting classic vibes. Take care of, the older people during dinner. And then, during dancing, these are my favorites. My friends and family, their age ranges are from 20 something to 80 something, and they're from these parts of the world. Okay, go. We got you. Like, we understand that. Like, I know what the throwbacks are. If someone is this age range, I'm going to ask someone, what year did you graduate college? What do you consider your throwbacks? What do you love getting on the dance floor too? And we ask you questions like, where do you go on date nights? Or, we really try to get to know you in our online portal so that we know what it is that's going to make everyone have a good time at your wedding. And trust when I say that if your number one worry is making sure everyone has a time and gets on the dance floor, guess what? I literally have nightmares about that too. So we on the same page. Okay.
It's so true. They literally, I almost want to call them like mind tricks. They ask you questions that you don't even know. You're answering what you think is one question, and then suddenly you have a playlist that's like perfect.
I love it when people fill out that whole online planning system. They answer every question the way they want to answer it. And then they don't really give me a lot of must plays or whatever, but then like I rock their dance floor and they're like, oh,
I know.
They're like, how did you do that? I didn't know. Like, I didn't pick any songs. And I'm like, I got you. Don't worry.
Well,
that's my favorite.
during dinner, Jenny, I don't know if you do this, but even like as soon as people start arriving during ceremony, I am like, okay, what age are you? I'm checking out what you're wearing. I start like, okay, you might do this on Sunday. Okay, use a Sunday brunch, or like you definitely go out. So I'm gonna need like club music up in here,
Mhm.
or like, again, the age ranges. Like I try to, picture like, what do you do on the what are your guests doing on the weekend? Where did you go out? Where was like the highlight of like you're celebrating, and then I just kind of sprinkle like some of that stuff in.
Yeah. We're not just reading your dance floor.
No.
We're reading your whole night, from the ceremony through dinner. When people are sitting down eating dinner, we're watching them. We're watching if they're bobbing their heads or moving back and forth, and what kind of music they're loving already before the dance floor even opens. We already know.
Smart cookies. You guys are smart cookies. I mean, I'm trying to think on what I even put in my online planning system, and I think, like you said, I really didn't give that many must plays. I mean, I didn't request Blink-182. All the most vivid memories of songs that I have that I'm like, how did I not specifically ask for that to get played? You guys just kind of, you figured it out. So I think it's definitely trusting your DJ is important, and you guys are good at what you do.
I mean, also, like if you're gonna say Red Hot Chili Peppers are on the do not playlist, I am not going, 10 degrees near anything to do with Red Hot Chili Peppers either. So just no.
It's all these little questions you don't even know that we're building the playlist for you. We make it really easy on you.
It's funny because I feel like the DJ is like, I mean, we can say a lot of categories, but I think that it's overlooked sometimes in a lot of ways, other than, you need a microphone for ceremony. So like the DJ is going to provide that. And like, you got to have a dance floor, but everything else is so overlooked, but it makes the biggest impact. Like if it goes wrong, it will be on the DJ, because it's what everyone sees and feels,
Yep. And that's why all of our girls follow that strict timeline. When we're emceeing and when we're getting our must plays, we put all that down on paper. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, we have to wrap this up. We've been having too much fun and we've already gotten a few minutes over time. So thank you, Jenny and Kristen, for joining me and giving all of these amazing couples some tips on how to make a wedding playlist that rocks. Thank you to Florida Wedding Expo for allowing us to take over your Facebook page and connect with couples. You can learn more about us and our style on our website, ourdjrocks.com, and you can stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Spotify. We have a bunch of playlist planning resources available to you on all of those platforms, so definitely check it out. And we hope your day rocks. Thank you guys so much, and see you soon.
Thank you guys.